All right, so Kay, how long have you been with BrokerVA? Do you even recall when you started?
I started with BrokerVA since January 17th. That's my start date with BrokerVA.
January 17th was your start date?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was later than that. So you've been with us for almost a year.
Yes, I
Nice.
am.
Wow. Okay. All right. Tell me what it is that you had you do and how that worked.
I am an LOA for them.
Gotcha. Okay. And so tell me what your day-to-day looks like. So when you check in, clock in with them in the morning until you're done, what are your typical things that you're doing?
So I manage their emails, and I manage also their CRMs. So I follow up their leads from time to time, and I actually set it manually, the follow-up date. I set it manually so I can follow up, or I do not miss someone in their pipeline. So yeah, I follow up, and as well as I also do the restructuring and the pre-qualifying of the loan application of the borrower. So I am calculating income, reviewing the credit report, running the AUS, and yeah, requesting the borrower's initial documents like income, credit, asset, and IDs. And if there are REOs that the borrower owns, we request the mortgage statement and insurance and taxes.
Gotcha. All right, let's start with the CRM stuff because that's kind of interesting to me. And I don't, just for the audience's sake, I don't know the answer to these questions. In the CRM, how do you know when it's a Monday, Tuesday, whatever day of the week, how do you know who to be following up with? Is it because you've set a task on it?
Yes, that is set manually actually. So every time we got a new lead, I enter it in the CRM, and our CRM is Bonzo. And yeah, you can set the task manually once you enter the new lead.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then you'll follow up with them how often? Is it daily? Is it weekly? What's kind of your cadence with the new leads?
Yeah, it depends actually. So the first time that the client was introduced to us, so I follow up every 2 days. So that's 48 hours. And then if the borrower is not responding, I move it like, I adjust the follow-up from weekly.
Gotcha.
Weekly.
Yep. That makes sense. And are you asking them to fill out the loan application? Is that what you're trying to get them to do?
Yes, we
Gotcha.
ask them to do the application.
Now, question, and this is for the audience as well. Obviously, English is your second language. I have told you this before, but I failed miserably at learning a second language, even though I went exclusively to a language school for a year, which was Spanish. I couldn't do it. I have a lot of respect for people that know two languages, but obviously, English for you is a second language. Did your client provide you with scripts and email templates to send to leads when you're texting them, or how do you go about making sure that your grammar is correct when you're reaching out?
Actually, we have Grammarly. So yeah, I check my grammar with Grammarly, and
Yeah.
it's really helpful.
Yeah. And then do you ever pick up the phone and call, or you just text and email only?
I just text and email only.
Okay, so what do you do then if the client, and I don't know the answer to this, what do you do if the client actually requests a phone call from you? Do you connect them with your loan officer at that point?
Yes, I ask what time and day are they available so that I can set a schedule for my loan officer. I'm
Gotcha.
actually handling his calendar, Google Calendar.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So now let's go to the part that I think people are most interested in, and the part that I know when we first started talking, and I started really investigating the world of high quality mortgage professionals that all live in the Philippines. This is the part that blew my mind. Tell me about your role as an LOA doing pre-qualifications.
Yeah, because I was an underwriter before, so I know how to restructure a file. I know the DTI ratio. I know the LTV. So I really know the guidelines for conventional and FHA. So it's not really hard though to start with, but yeah, pre-qualification is like the borrower submitted the application, and then we we find the right program for them that suited their situation. So yeah.
So when they finally fill out the loan application, let's say you followed up every other day and then weekly, and finally you scheduled something with your loan officer, and then they filled out the loan application, and that comes in. What happens? Do you review the loan application? Are you reviewing documentation? What happens at that point?
Yeah, I review the documentation that they submitted, and then actually they are using Loansify to fill out the application, and it is automatically transported to LendingPad. And yeah, I'm working with LendingPad, and all of the details that the borrower entered in their application is automatically in the systems. I calculate income for my loan officer and pull credit reports, and also review the credit, review the income documents, asset documents, and then the IDs.
Gotcha. So do you revise the income then when the pay stubs do come in from what they
Yes,
provided you?
yes, and I actually if there are what you call this for the salaried, if there are other income like bonuses, overtime, and incentives, I calculate those. And if the borrower has 2 years history, so I actually request for the year-end pay stub so we can add it on the DTI calculation so they can have a higher loan amount.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I used to get into a not an argument. It was a civil debate over whether it was easier to get end of year pay stubs from the borrower or whether it's easier to just request a VOE. And I love end of year pay stubs. I'm an end of year pay stubs person all the way. And the gal that I have this debate with on a consistent basis is VOE all the way. VOEs, for whatever reason, they kill me. All right, so that makes sense. Let's get into. I'm curious, just so we can kind of dig into your experience. Can you also calculate income from self-employed borrowers based off of a tax return?
Yes, of course.
Gotcha. And then even some non-QM programs. I'd love for you to tell. One of the coolest things about you that I really enjoyed when we first met is your experience with the non-QM lender green box. And can you highlight some of the type of programs that you're able to pre-qualify just based off of your prior experience?
Of course. Actually, the most common with non-QM is the bank statement and the DSCR program. Some of the borrowers that is self-employed has this decreasing income in the tax returns because they do not declare it really. So what we do, we encourage the borrowers to submit a 12 months or a 24 months bank statement so we can pre-qualify them in that program.
Yeah, I remember when we first started, you would help me determine there was something about 12-month versus 24-month, and then even industries, right? You were talking about some type of industry where the bank statements are actually looked at differently based off of what they do. I can't remember the discussion, but when we had broached that, I was like, wow, okay, I really know what she's talking about. So that's awesome. You pre-qualify. Now, you said you have experience with conventional and with FHA. Do you also know how to pre-qualify VA borrowers?
Yes, of course. We actually have VA borrowers as well with my loan officer because my loan officer is VA himself.
All right. So question on lenders. You mentioned you upload your file once it's pre-qualified into lender portals. What lenders does your loan officer work with?
Mostly UWM.
Gotcha. Do you like UWM?
Yes, it's very user-friendly as well, like lending pad.
Yeah, that's right. And then when you go into UWM, are you just registering the file? Do you disclose it? What do you do in there until you hand it off to the processor?
I just set it up actually. I add the fees and then check all the details that was transported. And yeah, that's it.
One of the things that I always do when I'm with clients is I let them know that our people, our staff, they're typically all college educated, and they have around 5 to 10 years of work experience in U.S. mortgage, like corporate America, U.S. mortgage. And so you exemplify that, as do most of us. But I just want to kind of have the people watching really get a feel for you and your background. And I want to start with where did you go to school, or what did you go to school for?
I actually took hotel and restaurant management course when I was in college. Yeah, I know that was way out of line from the mortgage industry, but I am really glad that I'm here right now. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the question then. How did you, and I don't know the answer to this question, how did you then get into mortgage? You're graduating with a degree in restaurant management and hotel management. You're in mortgage. How did that transition happen?
Actually, I consider it a blessing. So yeah, to be honest, because I really did not submit a resume for it. So what happened back then, I went to a job fair hosted by a big company here in the Philippines. So I just went and submitted resume, particularly to hotels and restaurants only. And to the host of the and to the company that hosted that event, asked a copy of the resumes for all individuals who attended the job fair. And they submitted those copy to all of the employers available on that event too. And that is how my resume got into one of the biggest financial institution in the US. And I don't know what happened, but that institution is the only one who contacted me and encouraged me to apply to one of their back office jobs. And fortunate enough, I got in.
Awesome. And what is the name of that financial institution?
JP Morgan Chase.
It sure is. That's my bank. That is the big dog right there. So that's awesome. So JP Morgan responds to basically your career fair resume and tells you to get involved. What was your first role at? What year was this? Again, I don't know this answer. I can't remember what your resume looked like. That was a year ago we did this. What year did you actually start working for them?
I started working at JP Morgan July 4th of 2013.
Of 2013. So it's been 10 years
Yes.
you've been in the mortgage industry.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So in 2013, what is it that they had you start to do?
Yeah, I got hired as an admin specialist, loan admin specialist, basically the indexer. So we are the one who identifies and reviews the loan documents and sort it accordingly. And then I just worked a lot to get into the originations department where I got promoted as an underwriter.
Nice. Okay. All right. So you get that's a big promotion.
Yeah.
You start in that, and it was administrative work. How did you when you got into the underwriting position? What was the training like? How did they possibly get you from that kind of beginner role into a full on underwriter? Take me through that journey, and how many years did that take?
I started as an indexer and loan admin, and then I applied for the what you call this originations, who validates or verifies the uh, employment. We are the one who calls the employers 10 days before the closing, and then I transferred to originations department for the underwriting role.
Yep. Gotcha. And what programs was it? Conventional? Was it FHA? What were you underwriting back then?
Actually, it's more on conventional loans.
Nice. Okay. All right. So they started you with conventional loans, and were you calculating income? Like, it's like tell us, I guess, for those of us that have never worked in the banking side, which is I find fascinating, and probably not as important to this interview. I don't know if this will make the final cut here, but I'm curious. When did you get the file, and when did you let go? Like, what was your specific role as an underwriter?
Yeah, actually, it's just an associate underwriter. So we also have senior underwriters in US, and we got the file right after it was set up. We calculate the income, pull the credit, and review the credit asset as well, and then the IDs, of course, and then the whole package. If there are REOs owned by the borrower, and yeah, everything. And we add conditions. We run by the way, we run AUS first, and then we add conditions based on the AUS results.
Yeah, that's incredible. I cannot. I remember when I was first on this journey to really figure out how talented people were, like you, Khaye. It just blows my mind that because I do not have that ability, right? I come from a processing background in this industry. I come from a tech background prior to this industry, and processing to me was very hard. I remember at the same time, and this is stuff I guess we've never even talked about, but 4 years ago when I started, I had to do two things simultaneously. I had to learn how to build relational databases and systems. I wanted to build out our own software systems, and then I had to learn how to process, and I was doing those simultaneously, both with no experience in either one, no experience in either. And it was harder for me to learn how to process the file, let alone become an underwriter. And I can't tell you the amount of awe, or I guess surprise, that I had when I found out that you guys are full-on underwriters. I mean, JP Morgan Chase has you decisioning files for conventional files after structuring assets and income and credit and all these things. That's a really serious job, and that's a really cool thing that you're able to do. It's great that they responded to you at that career fair. Okay, so then you went over to Greenbox.
Yes, I went over to Greenbox.
And how'd you make your way over to Greenbox? Did you know somebody there already? They find your resume again? How did it happen?
Oh yeah, actually my friend, my underwriter friend, when we were in JP Morgan Chase, is with Greenbox at that time. So she referred me to the company, and yeah, I'm also lucky that I got in. So I had a broader knowledge when it comes to mortgage, because back then I only know the FHA, conventional, and VA, and then I got to experience processing non-QM with Greenbox.
Yeah, and what was that like, going from conventional FHA, VA to bank statement DSCR? Was that a hard jump for you, or was that pretty easy?
Actually, it's really different. A lot of the guidelines is really new to me. So every time I process the loan, I have to go back to their guidelines, because it's a company guidelines as well. So yeah, you just have to go back and back and back and read the guidelines so that you won't get an error while processing the loan applications.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're doing bank statement DSCR, and then I think after Greenbox you came to us, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotcha. And I can't even remember, how is it that we got connected to you?
Actually, my friend's friend referred me to BrokerVA.
Gotcha. Do you remember who's the name of the friend?
It's Jose Davila, if you remember
Gotcha.
him.
Gotcha. I'm not. This was a year ago. It's so long ago. But yeah.
Yeah.
So a friend of a friend referred you, and then you, me, and Therese probably all got together. Yeah.
Yes.
Man, so cool. And for our listeners that are still holding on at this point in the recording, we get a lot of referrals through friends of friends. So one of the coolest parts about BrokerVA at this point is we're starting to build out a network of people that all know each other in the mortgage industry. And so when they come on board and people are worried about making sure they have the right experience, or that they're of good quality, or that they do the right thing, right? I mean, we need people that ultimately do the right thing. Security is important, and showing up to work every day is important. We get a lot of the people that we now meet through word of mouth and through friends of friends, and through people hearing about what we're doing and hearing that, hey, you can go from being a junior processor at a JP Morgan Chase, where you do the same thing every single time, to really moving over to BrokerVA, where you get to support somebody and the entirety of their business. I mean, there are a lot of people, there's some people that are going to like it better at JP Morgan Chase for sure, but there are a lot of people that do like being a part of a smaller team where they see their impact more, where they're not lost in the whole corporation. We have a lot of BrokerVAs that just work for one loan officer, right? That's your situation.
Yep.
I mean, how cool is it? Me personally, I find this really, really great. How cool is it to be able to work for somebody and be able to follow up on leads, pre-qual files, put them into processing, know when they're funding loans, and really know how you're contributing to somebody and a team versus a big company. So yeah, I'm glad that Jose, I can't remember Jose, but I'm sure glad that he referred me to you. I really am. It was really lucky to have met you and to be working alongside you, Khaye. All right, so we started talking in January last year. Tell me what it was that interested you in coming on to BrokerVA.
Oh, to be honest, I'm really looking for a non-toxic environment at that time. So I felt worn out on my previous company because everyone seems so mad for everything, like being yelled at, shouted by your bosses, and a lot more things that I really endured for a year. So when I applied here at Broker VA, I just really wanted to hop into a new environment and trusted that it will be a total opposite of what I had in my previous company. And I was right. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I appreciate that. That's yeah, I didn't know that. That's very, very cool. I guess how did we? Maybe this is what can illustrate this to anybody watching this that's thinking about coming over to Broker VA. I do remember how we handled your client. So your first client, he was calling me and he was just really upset with how you were doing, and he was not very nice, and he was treating you like just very unfairly, and he wasn't treating you right. Describe what it was like working with me and Therese through that process, and what we did in response.
Yeah, actually, the client really gave me a hard time, but then I really felt the support of you and Therese at that time. And I'm really blessed that I really got into Broker VA, and I found a family, like yeah, the one who will take care of you if you are if you are struggling, and the one who can stand with you at that moment.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So for those of you that are watching this that are thinking about coming on to Broker VA, potential recruits that we might put in front of clients or get to know better, I find myself very connected to and enjoy working alongside Khaye and Therese and the family that we have that's based in the Philippines. And the reason for that is, number one, I'm a very hard worker. I work exceptionally hard. I work longer hours than most people. I have goals, and I'm also very focused on those goals, and I show up. And one of the things that I will say is that the general attitude and work ethic of people, I believe, culturally that are based in the Philippines is a little bit better than it is here in the U.S. And I don't know why that is. It's a little bit sad to me that it's that way, because I wish that more people would go to work here in the country where I live and really, really care about having all of the other people they interact with tell them that they do a fantastic job. One of the things that I'm really about is I truly want people to say, hey, Joel, that was a fantastic experience, or thank you very much. When I was a processor, I wanted to be the best processor. Now that we are more focused on virtual assistant staffing, I want to have the best service, provide the best people with the best contract. Our contracts are month to month. Our clients don't even need to pay for a long term, because I want to win every single month. I want us to do such a good job that they renew. And I get that feeling from a lot of the people that I work with in the Philippines. And so a lot of times when we have loan officers come and complain to us and they say, hey, so-and-so is not doing a good job, or they messed up something, the very first thing that we do, and I'll record this in the client version of this video as well. The very first thing that we do is we evaluate first and foremost is are there clear expectations on what needed to be done? Are those expectations reasonable? Are they in a system, in a process with standard operating procedures defined to succeed? Because a lot of times, if the client is defining the role well, and if the broker VA understands the expectations of the position, a lot of times the broker VA does just fine. But yeah, I remember back then, your loan officer specifically, man, was that tough. Now that was easy. I knew immediately. I knew as he was complaining very aggressively to me about you. It was like what, your first week? He wanted you to fund loans in a day. I mean, it was something, it was something, I guess that was a little different. That was something delusional. Most of the time, it's not that easy. But for you, it was very easy, Kay, to come to your rescue and make sure that you were okay. And I think when I called you, I think the first thing I said is, "How are you?" It's like I get in that situation a lot where I'll be talking to a client, and then my first call goes to broker VA, and I say, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" Because this does not sound fun. Whatever this is, doesn't sound fun. Tell me some other things that you really like about broker VA. I just want kind of, if you could, the list for our listeners. What are some of the things that really make us stand out compared to some of the other jobs that are out there for U.S. mortgage professionals in the Philippines?
Yeah, the new thing about Broker VA is like we are licensed in 17 states and also here in the Philippines. So you got to get the benefits of like our SSS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth here in the Philippines. And of course, the 13th month pay, that's really happy. We actually, because we are a family, so we actually help each other for us to grow and learn new things on a daily basis. So whenever you have concerns or questions regarding your task or the process, you can easily reach out to our head VAs with Casey and Charisse. So they are always available for everyone, and that's really great actually with Broker VA.
Yeah. So for our listeners, we have trainers in all of the things broker. So a lot of you guys are coming from retail. A lot of you guys are coming from direct lenders where you don't know Arrive, you don't know LendingPad. Those are our two primary LOS systems. You don't know wholesale portals, UWM. Kay was talking about UWM earlier. Okay, what's UWM? How does that work? Well, there's a lot there, right? There's, especially with that lender, there's a lot of stuff going on. And so we will train you and enable you along the way. You have any questions, you have people you go to, it is their full-time job to support you and make sure that you're doing everything correctly. We've built conditions guidelines. We've built template emails. We've built scripting if your broker doesn't have any. Essentially, you have the resource and infrastructure of an entire team that's here to help. So yeah, that's a good one right there. All right, so those were some the good ones, Kay. Is there any other benefits you want to throw in at the end here for our listeners?
Oh yeah, to be honest, I like the permanent work from home that Broker VA offers. So yeah, you have a lot of time with your family and with your fur babies.
Yeah, with your fur babies. That's right. Your family, your fur babies, who are family. Talking about pets. Yeah, so we get a lot of people who are tired of commuting. And one of the things about working at Broker VA here, folks, is you get to work from home forever. We're going to secure your laptop. We have some security measures in place, but so long as you're, and then we do monitor your screens, which is a little bit like a big old company, but it's we're not looking at them all day. It's just for us to refer to if we ever have any questions. But if you can follow some basic data security practices, you can work from home here for as long as you want. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people who are getting called back. I believe the whole world seems to be getting called back to the office. So if you want a permanent work from home position and you are an excellent mortgage professional, we are here to rescue you from your commute. What is it about your loan officer that you like the most? What is it that they do well? Walk me through some of the things that they do to make you happy.
I really like how they are always being helpful and giving concrete directions. And he's always available when I am working, and he is organized, and he actually set SOP for me so I know what to do on their files. And yeah, most especially, they have goals for their business and they share it with me so I can be a part of it too.
And what are those goals? I'm curious as to what those are.
Yeah, they actually want to close more loans, of course. So in order for to do that, since I am managing their CRM for their lead, they actually hired someone to do the automated sending of emails and text messages to the leads so that it won't take my time. Because actually, right now, since I am doing it manually on a daily basis, I have to follow up for 50 and above. At sometimes I follow up 90 leads in a day. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it took my time as well. So they are actually their goal is to get it automated so that it won't take my time anymore, and I will help them doing the pre-qualification and then the pre-approval and also the um, review of the loan application, of course.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So for those listening, it sounds like Kay's hitting on a few things that are in our loan officer course, or things that we repeat constantly. And that is, number one, you got to have clear expectations, give great direction, which it sounds like your loan officer does. Number two is how much can you bring your broker VA into the fold? So there's a few things that we do for that. Video communication is huge. Our broker VAs have to be video ready during working hours. But it sounds like your loan officer, Kay, has taken it a step further and actually kind of brought you into the overall vision or goals or what they're working on, so that you're not just part of a single component. It sounds like you know what's going on with the entire company and what he's working on kind of as the owner of the company. Is that right?
Yes.
That's very cool. That's very cool. When does the automation get done? When do you get relief from calling 90 people a day or texting 90 people a day?
Actually, he is in the process of it. He was in a meeting this afternoon with that person. So yeah, we are on it right now so that we won't be following up leads anymore.
I would think so. So is your loan officer, do you have the confidence that your loan officer is pretty much always working when you're working?
Yes, actually, he's really working even though it's holiday and weekends. He really works hard, and it really affects me. Like, I also want to work hard for him.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great thing for those of you evaluating whether broker VAs are for you. If you go get somebody where you can start leveraging your time, you have somebody else following up with leads, texting and sending emails like Kay does. You have somebody pre-qualifying loans like Kay does. You have somebody registering files with lenders like Kay does. All of a sudden, you're going to have a lot of extra time. If you're spending that extra time on the golf course and your broker VA is trying to work for you and you're not available, it's going to be tough. I think one of the things that that is really important, or where we really thrive, is loan officers that want to say, hey, I want to replace my operational activities that I'm trying to get leverage on, and I want to fill that with other productive work-related activities. That's really what I see work well. When I see somebody that just wants to step out and kind of do less, that's not necessarily the best environment for an employee in any situation. This is our very first one. I think it went great. And I just want to say I really appreciate you and all that you do for this company.
Thank you as well. It's my pleasure. We're really here as a family and helping each other for the business.
Yeah. Thanks, Kay.